I'm Daniel Martinez-Hosang. I teach ethnicity, race, and migration at Yale. A lot of my writing and teaching is about the idea of freedom. Freedom is this really long-standing and, of course, powerful concept and idea in the US in particular. And when we think of freedom, we often think about these individual ideas of freedom. What does it take for myself as a person to be free? What rights do I need? How do I secure opportunity for myself and my loved ones? I gravitate to stories and write about stories in which people understand that their freedom can never, ever be truly secured individually. That they come to some insight and realization that freedoms are always collective in some sense. They're always tied together. And then they engage in that very, very difficult process through social movements and collective struggle to think about who else's freedom is at stake and is connected to their own lives. You can see this in the US in a long history of internationalism. Civil rights and racial justice organizers and activists who knew that in order to win equality and justice at home within the US, you had to also think about what was happening abroad, outside the country. And especially those places, peoples, and countries that were impacted by US militarism. So of course, in the 1960s and 70s, during the US war in Vietnam, so many Black, Latino, Indigenous, Asian American organizers constantly talked about their own struggle in the US for civil rights, for opportunity in relationship to education, housing, employment, to ending wars of domination overseas. They understood those to be inseparable. You couldn't win justice at home without fighting for justice over there. This goes back, there's a long history of this. In 1898, as the US is invading the Philippines, Hawaii, Guam, you have the black press in the US that's in the throes of fighting against Jim Crow, insisting loudly that that struggle, both in the South and the North, could not be separated from the struggle for Hawaiian independence and sovereignty, from what people in the Philippines were going through, people in Guam, people in Puerto Rico and in Cuba. And I think that's a profound insight to realize that your own possibility, your own future, is always connected to some other place. And that the kinds of freedoms that we're often invited into, which is a kind of freedom that displaces some kind of injustice onto someone else, is always, always going to be partial. And they were instead insisting on what I describe as a wider type of freedom, in which people's lives are connected in these profound ways.